following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee. And welcome into a Tuesday edition of Main Street Sports Today, June 14th, 2022. As we'll be joined by John Glennon, SI.com writer, also writes for the Titans. And he was at minicamp today out in that wonderful heat. That sunshine bearing down. He'll get first look at the Titans in their camp today. Also, Chip Walters, his weekly visit, talking all things MTSU Blue Raiders. That's coming up around 3 o'clock Central today. Also, the Field of 8 is set for Omaha, the Men's College World Series. Lots of SEC flavor. We'll talk about it. Also, this day in Braves history. And, yep, another dub, another day for the Braves. So we'll get into that. And Top 5 Tuesday, top sporting events attended. This should be a doozy. We got a Hall of Famer there, so you know he's seen a thing or two. Let's get to our Hall of Famer, Mo Patton, up in your top right. JP Plant here, filling in for Chris Yao. And our old, I don't know if we can call him the intern anymore, but Andrew the Earl Moore is going to be sitting in with us. Gentlemen, happy Tuesday. How we doing?
Doing well, JP. Welcome everybody into our Tuesday edition of Main Street Sports Today. As JP said, I'm Maurice Patton. JP pushing buttons from his humble abode in Lawrenceburg, and joining us from Asgard Brewing, Andrew the Earl Moore, as we get ready to talk a little Titans here in the next segment with John Glennon of SI.com, among other things today. Big day. Big day. We know who's going to Omaha finally with 2 games yesterday, deciding the final 2 spots, and pretty heavy Southeastern Conference flavor, for lack of a better phrase. We'll get into that more
in
Mo.
Yep, half the field that we thought.
Yep. Well, half the field, and everybody's favorite not among them. Again, right. as we discussed at length yesterday. But college baseball is a funny game, so we'll get more into that later. Again, Chip Walters and the typical Tuesday fare, which includes Top 5 Tuesday. So looking forward to the ride today. Andrew, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you guys doing?
We are cooler inside than we would be outside, for sure.
I wish I could say the same. It gets a little hot down here in the Bruin area. But there are worse things. That's true. Yeah. I said there are worse things. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And you can always refresh yourself, I guess.
Yes. Very easily. That's something that could very easily happen at any time.
Absolutely. Top story today, I guess it would be the opening tip, right, JP?
Yeah, I believe that would fall into that nomenclature. Sure.
Okay. Game 5 of the NBA Finals last night. Again, another game that has been decided by double digits, as had the previous 4. Golden State picking up a 104-94 victory at home to go up 3-2. Series heads back to Boston later this week. Celtics needing to win 2 to win the whole shooting match. But, as we talked off air, JP, it's got to be frustrating for the C's to have held Steph Curry scoreless from behind the arc and still go down by 10 last night, 104-94.
Yeah, awfully deflating. And, first time, I believe, since 2018 in any game that he had not made a three-pointer. First time ever in the playoffs for Steph Curry, he had not made at least one three-pointer. And you're right, the Warriors still win by 10. Andrew Wiggins obviously was a huge bright spot for the Warriors last night, emphatically so. A couple of spots, very emphatically. Played awfully well. Draymond had some spots. Klay Thompson picked up a little bit of that three-point shooting where Steph was failing. And Jordan Poole with another lightning rod half-court shot at the end of a quarter that actually put them up by a point. I don't know. I think Boston may have taken back early in that fourth, but shortly after that, the Warriors put on another show in the fourth quarter and took care of business. And I mean, you can't defend Steph Curry any better than what they did last night, and it was a team effort. But they still lost.
Yeah. I think the number was 220 plus games that Steph Curry has hit at least one 3-pointer in heading into last night's game. So again, you took him away, but like you said, Andrew Wiggins really kind of the X factor, 26 points, 13 boards. And you've got Curry, you've got Thompson. Draymond hasn't given you a whole lot here of late, but Jordan Poole has kind of picked it up a little bit. But you didn't really account for Andrew Wiggins, didn't really see that coming. And for him to kind of be the X factor there for him, that's one more thing for Boston to worry about over this next, hopefully for them, 2 games.
Yeah, and some of us, meaning me, have forgotten that Wiggins was a number 1 pick, right? And his defense was every bit as good as his offense last night. You talk about that X factor. Of course, we saw easily on the offensive end, but I think the defensively, he was the X factor for the Warriors on that side of the ball as well. Now, Tatum had some moments, still had the turnovers, and I saw an interesting stat, Mo. You may have seen it too, and Andrew, but the Celtics this postseason, when committing 16 or more turnovers, they are like 1-7, I think, and less than 16 turnovers, 14-2. So going in, Mike Breen and company on the broadcast on ABC last night pinpointed that number, targeted that number, and interestingly enough, the very first possession for the Celtics, there was a Tatum turnover, but they did end up with more than 16, and so that trend continues. So obviously, that's something to look forward as they go back to Boston coming up. I believe was it Thursday night?
I believe it's Thursday night. Yeah. First time Golden State has led this series since Boston won Game 1 and Game 3. So Golden State with the home court advantage now as it goes back to Boston. If there is a Game 7, it would come back to San Francisco. Personally, I don't think it comes back.
No, it's hard to go against the Warriors. Now, I am, as we talked with Plaster yesterday, I do like the Warriors for a couple of different reasons. One, I love their style of basketball, but Steph Curry, his dad, Dell, who I had a relationship with and, working with him over with the Bobcats. So I've been following them. They're kind of a feel-good story for me, but their history says that when they're clicking like this, you can't beat them, whether they've got Kevin Durant or not. They proved it before Durant. They proved it during Durant. Now they're proving it after Durant. And Andrew, you may or may not know this. I'm sure you do, but Steph Curry has yet to win an NBA Finals MVP. He's won 2 regular season MVPs, but not a Finals MVP. Got to be the clear-cut leader in the clubhouse at this point, wouldn't you say?
Well, see, that would have surprised me.
Yeah.
I did not know that. So you saying that does surprise me. And like Mo said, I don't expect this to go to a Game 7. As we were talking off air, you hold Steph Curry to no 3-pointers an entire game and you still lose. That has to be one of the most deflating feelings for a team. Which is, I mean, it's going to be huge. The mindset for the Celtics going into this next game, which I expect the Warriors to take.
The fact that he's not won a Finals MVP, and there was talk earlier in the series that after his first few performances, he might be the MVP regardless of how it goes. Now, I don't know if that would have held up, but again, at this point, I feel like that's a moot point.
Yeah, I think certainly coming out of Game 4 with that 43-point performance, no question. Last night, probably not so much. I think they still need to win for him to get that award. But you fully expect him to bounce back. I would, Chris is our resident risk taker, I guess, if you will. I would put the house on Steph Curry making at least one 3-pointer in Game 6, right? I mean, wouldn't you?
I think as bets go, that one would be as safe as they come. That Steph Curry will hit a 3-pointer in Game 6. Yeah. I would say for entertainment purposes only, but that's no longer the case around here. So
that's true.
Yeah, you can get that bet down somewhere probably.
I would have put the bet. I would have put that bet on the previous game, which, with the way things went down, is one of the biggest reasons why I do not bet, because I would have lost more money than I was comfortable with losing. But Steph Curry making a three 99% of the time in a game is probably the safest bet you can make in sports.
Oh yeah, well, it hadn't happened in 4 years, and never in the playoffs. Never in the playoffs had he played a game and not hit at least one. So
yeah,
it's a funny game. It's a round ball, but it's still a funny game.
it still bounces funny too.
Yes,
so you just never know. Before we get out of our opening segment here on Main Street Sports today, JP, you have a chore to do.
I do.
You need to give our folks yesterday's scores and today's short schedule on the rundown.
This will be a quick one, so don't blink.
This is the Rundown. This is your Tuesday Rundown brought to you by Jim Davis at Grow Live Give. Visit them at growlivegive.com or give them a call at 615-682-0022. Securities offered through IFP Securities, LLC, DBA Independent Financial Partners, IFP member, FINRA, SIPC. Investment advice offered through IFP Advisors, LLC, DBA Independent Financial Partners, Registered Investment Advisor. IFP and Grow Live Give are not affiliated.
All right, here we go. Results in Major League Baseball. The Braves, another day, another dub. It's a dozen. Not quite a baker's dozen, but a dozen in a row. 9-5 over the Nationals. The Phillies get back into their winning ways after their winning streak came to an end. 3-2 winners over the Marlins yesterday. The Cardinals defeated the Pirates 7-5 there. Padres over the Cubs 4-1. And the Cincinnati Red Stockings 5-4 over the Diamondbacks. Super Regionals wrapped up last night. We'll talk more about the College World Series. The field is set. The 2-seed Stanford survives as they are the highest seed, and 1 through 4, only one of those made it all the way to Omaha. The 2-seed Stanford, 10-5 winners over UConn last night, and Auburn with a win 4-3 over Oregon State. They advance to the College World Series, making it an even half of the field from the SEC. And a lot of SEC West flavor as well. We just talked about it. The Warriors 104-94 winners last night, Game 5 of the NBA Finals. And the Warriors lead that series 3-2. The series heads back to Boston Thursday night on ABC for Game 6. The Warriors can close it out. It would be the fourth of this group of Warriors led by Steph Curry. Scheduled today, the Braves and the Nationals. 6:05 tonight, Bally Sports. It is freed on the bump for Atlanta, taking on Tetrot. Tetrot. That's a new one for me. I have not heard of this fella.
Same here, but we don't keep up too much with the Nats.
That's right. So. There you go. Pirates are at the Cardinals. Let's play 2. 12:15 should be halfway through their first one. In St. Louis. The Marlins and the Phillies tonight, 6:05. Brewers and the Mets at 6:10. Pirates and Cardinals, it's a day-night doubleheader, so Game 2 tonight at 6:45. So they'll play one, clear it out, come back, play a second one. Padres
Cardinals
Cubs,
up in the Cardinals up 3-0 in the bottom of the 6 on the Pirates here.
All right. So. Boy, you know it's hot in St. Louis on Busch Field today. Woo! The Budweiser will be flowing at Busch Stadium for sure. They ought to get Asgard over there in St. Louis. They would love it. Padres at the Cubs, 7:05 tonight. The Reds at the D-backs at 8:40. The Sounds start a series with the in-state team from the West, the Memphis, at 7:05 tonight. AutoZone Park, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, Mo?
Correct. That is correct.
AutoZone, yeah, one of the nicer ballparks in the minor league. So that should be a fun series. And we'll hear from Jeff Him later in the week on Friday about that series. That is your Tuesday rundown, brought to you by Jim Davis, GrowLiveGift.com.
That is our Tuesday rundown. That is it for the opening segment. When we come back here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, we'll be joined by John Glennon, writer for SI.com, who, as JP informed you, was out in the heat earlier today at Titans minicamp. Hopefully he has managed to cool off a little bit at this point to kind of let us in on what's going on out at St. Thomas Sports Park. So Main Street Sports Today continues after this break. Stay with us.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee. Because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today on this Tuesday. JP, Mo Patton, the Hall of Famer, Andrew the Earl Moore. Joining us today is our, I guess, air quotes, special guest host. Mo has lined up a slew of talented folks that we're going to have a lot of fun with this week as Chris enjoys a much-needed vacation. So time to get into a little Titans, and no coincidence, I don't think, that our buddy Andrew is on for our next guest, because certainly, Mo, something that he will have some questions for. But what a hot day to get back into the Titans today, huh?
Yeah, had to be a little warm out there, and it was by design that we have Andrew on, and we have John Glennon from SI.com on, and it was even more by design after the article that JG dropped yesterday on the website SI.com regarding first-round draft pick Treylon Burks and his medical issues that are kind of exacerbated to some degree by this type weather. First off, JG, good afternoon.
Hey, Mo, how are you?
Doing well, thanks, man. Appreciate you taking some time with us this afternoon. Have you recovered from this morning?
I was telling JP earlier. He offered me the Zoom option or the phoner option. I said after spending 3 or 4 hours in the sun, I don't think anybody would want to see me on a Zoom, so I'd stick with the phoner. So I think I still have some recovery work going on here.
Well, we've got a beautiful picture of you up for those who are partaking of us via video. But yeah, John, you had an article yesterday on Traylon Burks and his, for lack of a better phrase, his struggles since he has joined the Titans as an asthmatic, I guess, and trying to get everything figured out with that, with the change in venues from him from Fayetteville, Arkansas to Nashville, where everybody always complains about allergies and that kind of thing, and it's always hot and a lot going on. But I think that article did a really good job of explaining what he's dealing with right now. But you know, it's pretty open-ended in terms of how it gets addressed.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say, and it's kind of one of those. It's a story until it's not situations for the Titans, unfortunately. And we saw Traylon Burks, on literally the first drill of the first day of rookie minicamp about a month ago, struggle and ultimately leave the field, and ever since then it's been either limited participation or complete absence, as was the case today on the first day of minicamp. Last week, thankfully, Titans wide receiver coach Rob Moore at least actually cleared things up and said, yes, he is dealing with asthma. So whether that's the sole concern or whether there's also some conditioning involved. It's hard to pin down a percentage of each, but certainly asthma is an issue. As you mentioned, there's a change of venue, even though there's probably not a huge difference temperature-wise from Fayetteville, Arkansas to Nashville. There's certainly differences in the air quality. Certainly differences in the amount of pollen in the air that can trigger asthmatic attacks. And really, whatever the case, it's bothering Traylon Burks to the extent that he can't get on the field regularly or as I say, at all. So it's something that is hindering his development and something certainly the Titans, I'm sure, hope to get control of and manage successfully so that at least come training camp, Traylon Burks will be able to get out there regularly.
And it's a tough situation because this isn't a fifth rounder who's trying to make the team. This is a first round receiver who you just traded your number one receiver in hopes that this guy could somewhat offset what you lose with A.J. Brown going to Philadelphia. I mean, this is a guy that was drafted to come in and play a lot and contribute a lot on a team that's got not just postseason designs, but designs on deep postseason runs this year.
Yeah, I mean, you really hit the nail on the head there, Mo. I mean, that there are big expectations for this guy. Literally the next move the Titans made after trading A.J. Brown was drafting Traylon Burks. And, the Titans, unfortunately, don't have, a ton of proven quantities in the pass catching department. Robert Woods is a veteran pass catcher, wide receiver, very good, but we're not positive yet, what strength he'll return from the ACL that he tore last November. He looks good so far, certainly, but still there's a question mark there, and then as you go down the list, the big names aren't there. The Nick Westbrook-Akina is there, and maybe the rookie Kyle Phillips, and even the tight ends are new also, so there are at least some questions there. So, yeah, Traylon Burks is a guy that certainly there are big expectations to produce immediately, and I'm sure Titans fans are going to be looking back at what A.J. Brown did in his very first year when he topped 1,000 yards and saying, hey, if A.J. Brown can do that as a rookie, sure, we'll expect the same thing from Traylon Burks. And it's not going to be any easier, certainly, on Traylon Burks after having missed time here in the offseason. As again, I say they certainly have to hope that they can get this thing under control by the start of training camp near the end of July.
John Glennon of SI.com. You can find him on Twitter at Glennon Sports. Again, fantastic article on this situation with Traylon Burks up on the SI.com website. Went up yesterday. Go check that out for some more. JG, as you observed the first workout today, obviously Traylon didn't work. Besides that, what caught your eye?
Well, another guy who didn't work today is a bit of an eye catcher. Jeffrey Simmons, of course, the all everything defensive tackle of the Titans, was present, but he was just riding a bike actually next to Traylon Burks today outside, as opposed to actually participating. Certainly the question was put to Mike Vrabel, why wasn't Simmons practicing? And Mike Vrabel is not keen on giving a lot of detail, so he said he's unavailable. And obviously it's easy to speculate. We don't know for sure, but Jeffrey Simmons is a guy who's going into his fourth season, who has certainly exceeded his rookie contract right now, but still has 2 years left on it. So again, it's easy to speculate that maybe Jeffrey Simmons said, okay, I'm going to show up to mini camp, but I'm not actually going to participate, because I would like to see maybe a new contract. Again, purely speculation on my part. No one has said that definitively, but you would think after what Jeffrey Simmons did, especially last year, that, the fact that he's going to be making about $4 million this year, and even the fifth year about $10 million, and that's so far behind some of the top defensive tackles that maybe that factors in today. So that certainly caught my eye, and you couldn't help also not notice the return of big number 22, Derrick Henry. Has been working on his own. Didn't come to the the voluntary OTAs, but was back today for the first day of mini camp and looked typically outrageously physically built and looking like he's had another tremendous off season. And I think there's a little bit of a chip on the shoulder motivation for Derrick Henry, because certainly, doubts are raised. Can he come back fully from the injury? He's not young in running back years. So I think he's certainly motivated and fueled for another big season here.
Whoever's in camp, I can't imagine anyone being in better condition than Derrick Henry.
No, I think you're right. And you just watch some of those videos that he puts out pretty regularly. And I don't know if you guys see those, but I always feel like I should immediately go to the gym after watching Derrick Henry on these videos, because I am nothing but a fat sack of potatoes compared to what Derrick Henry is doing. And it's just so impressive from a physical standpoint. And we saw a few signs last year that even when Derrick Henry was playing, the numbers dipped just a little bit. So again, I think there's gonna be plenty of motivational fuel for Derrick Henry to say, look, everybody, I am back. I am Derrick Henry. I am the man. Just get a look at me this year. So I think he's raring to go.
I know that our special guest host, Andrew the Earl Moore, has a ton of questions for you, JG. So, Andrew, fire away.
I could have a ton of questions. I want to try to keep this limited here. I don't want to take up the whole show. For better or for worse, I am a Titans fan first. Any article I read, any interview that I watch, I see it through the eyes of a fan. And within the Titans fan community, there always seems to be these off-season darlings that we just seem to grasp onto and have big hopes for. Like last year, it was Mason Kinsey. The year before that, it was Khalif Raymond. This year, it seems to be Kyle Phillips, the fifth-round pick out of UCLA. You've been at practice. You've seen the drills through the first month so far. Is there any reason to be excited about Kyle Phillips and what he can bring to this team in year one?
I think there is, and part of it, I think maybe even more so right now than his receiving game is what the Titans like about his return potential. And the special teams coordinator Craig Ackerman talked a little bit about his excitement level today about what they watched at UCLA and how much they liked Kyle Phillips' ability to catch a punt, make one cut, go vertical. And that is one of the reasons he was so productive in the return game. So I think maybe that first and foremost might be appealing for Titans fans. And then Ryan Tannehill, I asked Ryan Tannehill about Kyle Phillips today, and he said, yeah, certainly that Kyle Phillips has flashed from time to time. He didn't get carried away with praise, but I think he's impressed with what he has seen so far. And he does give a nice element to the passing attack that maybe they didn't have as much of last year, in that that classic kind of slot receiver that if you need 6 yards and a first down on 3rd and 5, he's going to be the guy that you're looking to. I think he is really well schooled in that particular role. So I think there's cause for excitement there. I tell you, in terms of rookies, though, the guy who has made even more impact in the offseason to me is Chigo Okonkwo, the tight end out of Maryland. Now again, it's basically passing drills here in the offseason, so there's only so much you can take. But boy, he has flashed quite a bit. Made a few nice touchdown catches in the red zone today, and Ryan Tannehill talked about the speed and strength of Chig. So he's certainly one to keep an eye on when training camp gets going.
Which I'm glad you brought his name up. That was actually my personal favorite draft pick in this offseason. Something that we've really seemed to be missing since Delaney Walker is now gone. Now that Jonnu Smith is now gone, he seems like kind of a mixture of the two, a kind of element in the passing game that we've missed. But I know you said something about the return game, and that's, for whatever reason, a question that I always have every offseason, really since I guess Mark Mariani about a decade ago. I never know who is going to be the returner. I know you mentioned Kyle Phillips. Dontrell Hilliard, I know, took some returns last year. I'm not sure if Chester Rogers is still on the roster right now or not. But who are you looking at, or who do you think the Titans are looking at to be that return guy this year?
Yeah, I think I would say Phillips and Kinsey and even Amani Hooker. Craig Ackerman mentioned today as potential punt return candidates. He said more likely Hooker if you're looking for very safe hands and not a big explosive return, because you don't really want to risk too much on that front. And then in the kicking game, one name that he talked about probably more than the others is Trenton Cannon. A guy who was signed here in the offseason. He's got some NFL experience, and he's kind of considered a special team standout. So he's going to be a guy to watch in that department, I think. Craig Ackerman sounded very excited about his potential. And then maybe a dark horse guy, undrafted free agent out of SMU, Reggie Robertson, wide receiver. If he is fully back to health, he played last season at SMU, but it was kind of that first year back after a knee injury, I believe, an ACL. And so he didn't necessarily have the great speed that he showed earlier. But if he has the great speed that he showed earlier in his career at SMU, he could be the kind of guy that's kind of a dark horse candidate, to win a job, special teams, return wise.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, JP.
That's all right. I just want to get one in, John, before we get out of here and let you go. John Glennon, our guest here on Main Street Sports today. Being the veteran that you are, John, have you come across shedding any advice on how to deal with the heat on these camps with maybe some younger reporters out there, whether today or throughout the week? Do you have like your little spiel about how to deal with this?
Oh goodness! I would like to thank the Titans first and foremost on this front, because fortunately for those in the media, the Titans' new structure out at St. Thomas Sports Park, there's a big new building out there that actually provides some shade on one side. So needless to say, media spend much more time in that little block of shade than we do scrambling in the sunshine. But I'll go with the typical ideas. Constantly hydrating. I bury myself in sunscreen before I get out there. I'm always wearing a hat, sometimes the bucket hat, to really protect from the sun. And I go to the extent, being the old Irishman, white-skinned Irishman that I am, I usually even wear like kind of a long sleeve, dry fit, quick wick or whatever you want to call it, jersey underneath another jersey, just as further protection from the sun. Maybe a little bit hotter, but again, protecting the old skin is pretty important these days, as we all know. So if we can grab any tips from that, great, because it looks like it's going to be a brutal summer if this is any indication right now.
John Glennon dropping knowledge as always, not just on the Titans, but on how to cover the Titans. You can find him at Glennon Sports on Twitter. He's with SI.com, and we're happy to have him with us as our guest today on Main Street Sports Today. John, appreciate you. Stay hydrated and stay covered.
Will do. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
All righty. That was John Glennon with us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. When we come back, we're going to talk a little MCWS, which is a new reference, but I guess it's accurate. So
we've got the MCWS and the WCWS. So those are the official acronyms we're going with.
Apparently.
Okay. All right.
Apparently.
Okay.
So we'll talk more about that when we come back. Stay with us.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today on this Tuesday. JP Moe and the Earl. That's Andrew the Earl hanging out. On this Tuesday, still to come, we'll have Chip Walters joining us later in the program. Also, our Top 5 Tuesday. And I think I've got it filled in. In that last break, guys, I think I finally filled in my Top 5. So I'm really looking forward to this one. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that's coming up. But plenty to get to as the the MCWS, the Men's College World Series, as Mo pointed out before the break, is set. We've got all 8 teams, and we've got a SEC West flavor. And also, future SEC teams, Mo. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
6 of the 8.
6 of the 8 either are or will be members of the Southeastern Conference. It really does just mean more, huh? But it's when you look at where we started 2 weeks ago and who the national seeds were and that kind of thing, and I don't want to continue to beat a dead horse. Tennessee's not there, but there are a lot of seeded teams that aren't there either. In fact, only 2 of the top 8 national seeds made it all the way through. Number 2, Stanford. Number 5, Texas A&M. You've got 4 of the top 16 seeds total, with number 9, Texas, and number 14, Auburn, both having to win super regionals on the road to get there. And then the other 4 all had to win on the road. Oklahoma, Notre Dame, obviously, Arkansas, and Ole Miss all having to win super regionals and regionals away from home to get to Omaha. So, I mean, you just got to feel like this thing is relatively wide open, because the folks that everybody thought would be there aren't necessarily there.
Yeah, no question. I mean, there were clear, a top heavy in this field heading into this tournament. Tennessee, Stanford had a hell of a year. Oregon State was number 3. We saw what Auburn did to them last night. Virginia Tech had been up there. They were the 4 seed. And 3 of those 4 gone. Stanford has not looked solid, so you can't really go with them, even though they are clearly the top seed left. You don't feel like they're the front runner. Texas A&M has actually looked pretty good as a 5 seed going in. You could argue they could be the favorite if you're putting it on paper. What Ole Miss has done with the way that they've played recently, what they did down in Coral Gables and in that region, beating Miami and Arizona and handily, and then shutting out Southern Miss in both games, 15-0 in that super regional. They look awfully good. Notre Dame, with what they just did, you can't count them out as potential World Series champs. And then you've got Arkansas. We know the talent. They were the top team the last couple of years.
Still in winning as well. So it's going to be some great baseball, you feel like, and really looking forward to it. There is certainly a reason to root for Ole Miss if you are a local college baseball fan as well, because they've got a pitcher who spent a little time out on Casey Lane here in Columbia. Brandon Johnson, former Columbia State Charger, pitching for Ole Miss. Not sure what his season has looked like to this point this year, but he's hanging around down there. Alabama native, spent 2 years at C-State with Mike Korn, and is now down there. So certainly will be worth keeping an eye out for as Ole Miss makes its way through the bracket, beginning with the night game on Saturday against SEC West rival Auburn. So,
Mo, you've been to Omaha, and you talk about it from time to time, that it is clearly a bucket list item for sports fans. You've been there. You want to go back. How would you describe the vibe out there of just being in Omaha and in that stadium with all the different collegiate fans? Because the collegiate fans, it's a different breed than what you get at the pro level, and there's just more. It feels like exuberance from the heart, to put it in a different way. What's your take on what the vibe is there?
Man, it's just a level of electricity that you don't get anywhere else. I've not been since they left Rosenblatt. I went out there in '95 when UT went out with Todd Helton and R.A. Dickey and that bunch, and I've wanted to get back ever since, and have not been in a position to do so. But just the electric. dog in the hunt.
There we go. Okay.
They
lost you there for a second, Mo. But
yeah, I saw that, and I didn't know whether I need to keep talking or shut up. But there are the fans that are there just to watch great baseball that aren't necessarily there for a team. The fans that are there and they will pick up a team once they get there. It's just if you are a baseball fan, if you're a college baseball fan, then it's certainly a bucket list type event. And if you get a chance to go, even if your team isn't there, it's still worth it, man.
Andrew, you got any thoughts on the World Series?
Yeah, personally, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm an avid college baseball fan because I am not. I do enjoy this time of the year. And I know who I'm personally rooting for now that Tennessee is no longer in this tournament, which is going to be Arkansas. But from y'all's perspective, talking to someone like me that just tends to watch a few weeks out of the year, out of these teams that are listed, who, if there is any, would be a safe favorite to win the whole thing?
Mo?
I don't
if there is one.
I don't know that there is one.
Yeah,
because again, all of these, A&M probably has done the best job of taking its high ranking and proving why they earned it, because as JP said, Stanford hasn't been great. UConn beat them 13-12 in game 1 of their series this past weekend. I would lean toward A&M or Arkansas, probably.
See, I'm personally pulling for Arkansas. Let's not tell my coworker here.
What's your tie to Arkansas outside of Tennessee? That seems kind of random, Andrew.
It is. It's very random. It's one of those teams that I just seem to just not hate. And then once I started working here at Asgard, I've become very close with one of our workers here named Brian, who is the biggest Razorbacks fan you'll ever meet in your entire life. So he's kind of rubbed off on me a little bit. Let's not tell him that, though. I don't want him holding that over my head.
Does he just randomly call the Hogs down there at Asgard?
Every time they win, whatever sport it is. Every time.
Oh, that's funny.
Hey, before we get out, let me give you a quick update. Brandon Johnson, 1-3 with a 4.08 ERA in 22 appearances, but he's got 11 saves, which leads Ole Miss. He's got 11 of Ole Miss's 17 saves on the year. 39 2/3 innings pitched, 66 strikeouts, which looks to be maybe third on the Ole Miss pitching staff. So It looks like he's going to have an impact on whatever they do once they're in Omaha.
That's impressive. They're playing well. No question about it. All right, Mo, we'll get into the second half. Maybe we'll fit your little halftime in at some point later. Maybe if we can fit in the show later. But we'll slide on in because I know we got to talk about the Braves. 12 and counting. A dozen in a row. It's impressive stuff. So we don't want to shortchange the Braves at all. Chip Walters still to come. And more, second half on the way here. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joints.
The city famous for its music is quiet now, but it's about to be overwhelmed by the symphony of speed. Nashville Superspeedway will be rocking from the pit to the grandstand. June 24th through 26th, the Ally 400 NASCAR Cup Series race weekend brings a mix of incredible racing and live entertainment. Tickets are going fast, so visit NashvilleSuperspeedway.com today and join the full throttle fun.
This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee Sports Editor, 3-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSWA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
Other guy in Wham married the best looking girl, Bananarama. So other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice.
We've reached the second half on this Tuesday. Main Street Sports Today. Coming up, Chip Walters, our weekly guest on all things Blue Raiders out of the borough. Also, we've got our daily Braves chatter coming up in just a moment. 12 in a row this day in Braves history, so stay tuned for that. Mo is still flying high. And Top 5 Tuesday, it's going to be a good one. It is top sporting events attended. Going to be a lot of fun. I've already got mine filled out, gentlemen, so that is a first. You know it must be good if I'm this far in advance of filling out my top 5. It's going to be a fun second half. Welcome back in, JP, the Hall of Famer Mo Patton, and our special guest host today on this Tuesday, our old friend, Andrew the Earl Moore, who is live from Muletown and Asgard Brewing. Afternoon, gentlemen.
I really am impressed that you've already got your top 5 filled out 2 segments before
I know
Top 5 Tuesday. So I, on the other hand, do not. So may need y'all to stall a little bit while I catch up. But it won't be during this segment because, as you said, the Braves. I woke up to a text from a friend of mine, Bill Evans, who is a Cardinals fan. And so I know how begrudging it was. But it's just, what's it say? Nice dirty dozen. And it took me a second to realize what he meant, but as you have pointed out on the screen, 12 in a row now for Atlanta following last night's 9-5 victory at Washington. That one hurt a little bit because second baseman Ozzie Albies suffered a fractured left foot on a swing during the 5th inning of that ball game last night, and was placed on the 60-day disabled list. And that, like I said, that hurts. That hurts. Think Orlando Arcia will get the bulk of his playing time immediately. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But obviously, he's a key cog. Hadn't been hitting real well, but was starting to show some signs, along with everybody else on that team, including George Plaster's favorite player, Adam Duvall, who hit another home run last night. Braves hit 5 in that 9-5 win. They have hit 89 now on the year.
Wow.
And in this current run differential over these 12 wins. So it's not hard to see where the key has been to their success here of late. It's been on offense. So they've suddenly been fun to watch.
They're playing a lot like Tennessee Vols a little bit, huh?
Well, getting good hitting and were. Yeah, past tense. Let's hope they can keep it rolling here a little bit. Getting some really good hitting and getting some pretty good pitching. You know, Kyle Wright with another fine performance last night, and Max Fried goes to the bump tonight. So we'll see if we can get 13 against the Nats. But they have suddenly made the East a little interesting with the Mets being off last night. The Braves come into today 5 games behind in the NL East after all of the proclamations from up north that the National League East have been decided. So,
yeah. Mo, I'm curious. You know, last year, so much of this team in this special run, there was this really cohesive group. It felt like they were having fun, and it was a really good clubhouse. I think that certainly has continued to some degree. The impact of Ozzie Albies, because it feels like to me, I'm not invested as much as you and Chris are on a daily basis, but he appears to be one of the leaders of that cohesiveness. So him not being on the field, plus it's up the middle too. I mean, and that's a big loss. But what is it? How big of an effect do you think this will have?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I don't know that we have an answer to it as we sit here less than 24 hours after the injury. I think it's going to be a little jarring for them to walk out there without him because I think he started every game that they've played this year, and so to not have him out there at second base, particularly for Dansby Swanson at shortstop. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know when the last time was that he's played with somebody
That's
other
true.
than Ozzy. So that it could be a little jarring, but at the same time, I think he's going to be around. He just won't be on the field, which that's not necessarily a just, but I think he's still going to be able to have his voice heard and that kind of thing. But it'll be interesting to see how they do respond to this. Again, I think Arcia is going to step in immediately. He's expected back in about 6 to 8 weeks, I think. So I don't know that this is an opportunity necessarily for Alex Anthopoulos to go out and work his magic to get somebody else in like he did at the deadline last year. But it'll certainly bear watching to see how they do respond to not having him in the lineup and not having him out on the field. But they've done some really good things here over this last 2 weeks. As I said, they've not lost in June. So
That's amazing. That's amazing. 12
Isn't
in a
it?
row. And Andrew, go ahead.
How important, Mo, would you say now that we're in June, still a few months of baseball left, how important would you say this 12 in a row win streak is for this team right now in the standings?
I think it's huge. I think it's huge in the standings. I think it's huge for their psyche because they were, win one, lose two, lose one, win two. They were just kind of in a rut. And I think, even though they were the defending world champions, I think they realize that. But I think at some point you just start to wonder, hey, how good are we? And, to run off 12 in a row like this, and obviously a lot of people want to say, well, it was Oakland, it was Pittsburgh, it was subpar competition, blah, 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 blah. All you can do is beat the people in front of you. And they've done that their last 12 games. Now, is the schedule going to get tougher? Absolutely it is. I mean, they're going to have to play some solid folks here before very long, but it's better to win 12 in a row against bad folks than not.
Well, and Mo, we talked about this yesterday. George made the point that baseball, I think, more than any other sport, opens up for, I guess, quote, upsets, if you will, teams that with bad records on any day could beat a team with a really good record, could even sweep a series. You talked about the Pirates went and swept the Dodgers. So, the idea that, it's been easy because they've been maybe sub 500 record teams, it's still baseball. They're still pros. And as you say all the time, Mo, they still drive Mercedes too? Is that right?
They drive Mercedes too. Yep, absolutely. But they finish up this 3-game series tomorrow at Washington. They get an off day on Thursday. They go to the Cubs for 3, and then they come home for 4 games against San Francisco and 3 against the Dodgers. So, we're going to see here pretty soon just how good this team is. Again, San Francisco is playing some really good ball right now, and the Dodgers are just the Dodgers. So we'll see. But I mean, again, I'd rather beat Colorado, Oakland, and Pittsburgh than not. So
12 in a row.
We're not going to give them back.
Yeah, 12 in a row is 12 in a row.
Absolutely. Yep. Is that music I hear?
That is music. Yeah, I'll pump it up for you there. There you go.
Okay, that's okay. I just wanted to make sure I hit my cue. This day in Braves history, on June 14th, 1952, Warren Spahn tied the National League record of 18 strikeouts set by Jim Whitney, who pitched in the late 1800s, by the way, and accounted for the Boston Braves only running a 3-1 15-inning loss to the visiting Chicago Cubs. Spahn's solo shot in the 6th gave the Braves an early lead, but the Cubs scored in the top of the 9th to force extra innings. If you ask a starting pitcher to throw 15 innings today, they'd probably slap you and walk out of the clubhouse. But in happier news, also on this day in 1952, Brave Scout Dewey Griggs signed Henry Aaron to a contract. So kind of
Good
offset
choice.
the Spawn law. Yeah, that was a good.
Yeah.
That was it was a good day, as Ice Cube would say.
Oh, there you go. All right.
On that note,
Yep.
that was what? That takes us to about 3:00 here on
It
Main
does.
Street Sports today.
Yeah.
And when we come back, we will have the voice of the Blue Raiders, Chip Walters, joining us. So be sure and stay with us.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee. Because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports today on this Tuesday, June 14th, 2022. JP, the Hall of Famer Mo Patton, and our special guest host today, one Andrew the Earl Moore. And coming up, we got our Top 5 Tuesday, our top 5 sporting event that we have attended. Now, I've been fortunate for a few, but I can't wait to hear what Mo has to offer, because not only games that he's attended as a fan, but games that he's covered. Oh, man, this is going to be good. And I know Chip will have an answer as well. He'll be able to pipe off something that he's attended, so I can already see he's already shaking his pen at me, Mo. I don't know if you can see that in there, so I'm anxious to see what he has to say about that as well. Welcome back, Mo.
Chip Walters, the voice of the Blue Raiders, joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Chip, good afternoon.
How are you, sir?
I'm all right. Tell me something. What now that the 21-22 athletic year is over for Middle Tennessee State, have you swung into 22-23 yet, or are you just kind of catching your breath, or what happens in June for Chip Walters?
Interesting you brought that question up. And the athletic season did end over the weekend with women's track finishing in the top 25 in the nation, and Miss Quartang, national runner-up in the high jump at 1.92 meters. So I mean, and she was
Now,
like,
hold up.
I mean,
Stop.
Yes.
1.92 meters in imperial height. What?
Hang on here. Let me make sure I get this. Abigail Quartang, personal best of 1.92 meters. Both jumpers are moving. Oh, wait a minute. She tied her personal best at 1.92. And I think that's where she finished at 1.92. Texas A&M's Lamera Diston finished the year, finished at 1.95. So 3/100ths or 3 millimeters, I guess is what that would be. Let's see. Convert 1.92 meters to imperial. Oh yeah.
It's summer. We're not supposed to have to do math, right?
Well, that's what happens when he starts talking metric, though.
I know the whole metric.
Well,
system.
the only reason I'm talking metric is because I read it. It wasn't because I know it. That is 6.29 feet. So six feet,
6'3"?
something like that. 6 feet 3 inches, something like that. That's pretty
That ain't
good.
bad. That's pretty
jumping
good.
over that's jumping over my head. So
that's not bad. That's pretty solid. So now is she a senior, Chip?
She was a one and done, a 1-year transfer, and again, national runner up there. You know, last year Middle had a national champion in the men's steeplechase. This year the women finished 25th overall because they had 5 different athletes that competed. Esther Issa, Usila Chipkimi, who she was in 3 different events, and so the top 25. It's the first time they've ever placed in the top 25 in the outdoor meet. They have been in the top 25 in the national indoor meet before, but for interim coach Keith Vroman, that's really good thing for him, and so he was. I saw him the other day, and he was all smiles. They had gotten back from Eugene, Oregon, and that's quite an event, and Middle has always done very, very well in both the indoor and the outdoor.
Chip, I'm curious.
That's great.
The last couple of times. Oh, go ahead, Mo. Sorry, I know there's a delay there. You had some more questions.
No. You go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, Chip, I was just going to ask.
No, you're fine. You're
Spring Fling. Obviously, I was on campus. Still a lot of construction around the athletic facilities, or some, and there's been a lot of talk about it. Now that there are no events happening right now. So what's the latest, and what's our timetable on some of those improvements that are going to be happening in that area?
Well, there's no MTSU events, but if you go over there, Murphy Center is swarming with, this week it's boys high school basketball teams. Next week, women's, girls high school basketball teams. But, there is
Did they get the windows all in there?
That's in the process. It's
okay.
They're within a month of being completed. And you can already, if you're over on the south side, which is where Alumni Gym is, you can already see the difference. I mean, it's you don't really think, okay, 50-year-old glass, does it lose its luster? Well, apparently it does. And new technology with the new windows that are going in, all the glass in the glass house is being replaced.
Okay.
And on that south side, you look at it, and it makes a huge difference in the look of the building. And with the new technology, they can hit a button and the glass turns dark. So on day games, where sometimes you've had where the sun would sliver through, onto the court, that won't happen anymore because of the technology that's involved in the new windows. They have been surveying the new outdoor tennis complex they will break ground on that in the next 6 weeks.
Okay.
So by around August 1st, they're going to break ground on Coach Jimmy Borendame's new outdoor tennis facility, and then the Student Athlete Performance Center, which is one of the big pieces of the $100 million upgrade, is you can go over there now and you can see where they've already made marks on the ground of where certain things are or are going to be. And from my understanding is that current weight room and game day room that's there on the north end of the stadium, immediately after the end of the season, it'll come down, and construction on the new Student Athlete Performance Center, which will be multi-level and will look over into the stadium, will begin. And that's all part of the phase one and everything that's going on already in Murphy Center with the glass as part of that. You'll eventually get to where that whole northeast corner gets taken out, and the new atrium and entranceway where you come in, very much like when you come into Bridgestone Arena, you'll come into a huge atrium lobby area with escalators that'll take you to the track level and into your seats. So there's a lot of stuff that's about to start happening. There's fundraising is still going on. As a matter of fact, on GoBlueRaiders.com, there's a 2-part interview with Chris Massaro talking about a lot of these, summertime subjects that we're talking about here, which includes fundraising not only for this project, but the annual fund that helps with the every year operation. Also, he kind of delves deep into the new look Conference USA, what it's going to look like this coming year, and then what it will look like a year after that, because there's going to be two changes in Conference USA over the next 2 years. We will drop from a 14-team league to an 11-team league this coming year, and the biggest change you're going to see is, number one, there will be no more divisions in football, and also in basketball, you will go from an 18-game schedule to a 20-game double round robin schedule. So you will play everybody in the league twice in basketball, both men and women. And so that'll be for the 22-23 year. Then from the 23-24 year, you add back, you lose the schools to the American, and you have the new schools coming in like Liberty, Jacksonville State, New Mexico State, and Sam Houston. So you'll be back to 12 at that point. No, you'll be at 10 at that point. So they'll have to do some other math on that. But Chris Massaro, like I said, on GoBlueRaiders.com, there's a 2-part interview that he did with Sam Doughton, the excellent staff writer for GoBlueRaiders.com, and again, it's talking about a lot of different subjects. Again, this time of year, which, as we mentioned, these summer subjects, it's about time for folks to dust off the old Mount Rushmore hours of conversation that'll be coming along somewhere. So.
So what's that mean for you, Chip? What else have you got going on?
Well, again, like you mentioned, one of the things I did, as a matter of fact, here in my paper calendar, I snuck in an assistant basketball coach's office the other day and took a picture of the non-conference basketball schedule. So putting some of those dates in the calendar already, and just so I'll kind of have an idea of what the end of November is going to look like in particular, but also working with a company that I'm going to use this year to help with my spot charts.
Here we go.
And I've talked to this guy several times, and we're working out where they have it, where it looks like the format that I've currently used, and so when you're less than 100 days out from the season, you start doing that and looking at that. And also, a radio crew is going to be along with several other folks. We've got a night at the Sounds next Tuesday night, so we're going to go enjoy ourselves now that the entire athletic year has been completed. We'll tell you, I added it up the other day for the Blue Raider Network broadcasts during the 21-22 school year through our parent company of Learfield. I think I counted correctly 169 different radio broadcasts throughout the year between football, men's and women's basketball, and coaches shows throughout the year, along with baseball. So we had, if you averaged it out, we had something on the air about every other day throughout the entire season, or the entire calendar year.
That's true blue
Workhorse.
right there.
Yep. The workhorse, Chip Walter, joining us here on Main Street Sports today. No rest for the weary. Football season opens September 3rd with the Blue Raiders at James Madison.
We go to James Madison and then a trip to Miami to take on the U, and then back home for Tennessee State, and then go on the road to Colorado State before diving in to the Conference USA schedule. But so again, not an easy non-conference schedule, and to play 3 of those 4 on the road. People think about James Madison; they're in their transition year from, I still call it 1AA to 1A, but they've got a national championship in their pocket from recent years and have been right in the thick of things there. Miami, after they've got a coaching change, and we're very familiar with the head coach they have now, because he was at FIU for several years and really had them on the verge of doing great things. And then out at Colorado State, you've got a new head coach there. I think it was the gentleman from Nevada that's the new head coach for Colorado State. And then I think it'll be an electric atmosphere on September 17th when Eddie George and the TSU Tigers roll into Floyd Stadium. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
I think it will be too. That trip to Fort Collins can be tough. I mean, with elevation and that kind of thing, that's not an easy place to play, as Vanderbilt found out last year.
Exactly. It's not. You're playing at atmosphere. I mean, we used to play University of Denver in basketball, and you walked out of your locker room, and in very big letters right across the hall from your locker room door, it said 5,280 feet. So they let you, they don't mind letting you know that you're playing at altitude. And a beautiful stadium, Colorado State. It's probably about 10 years old, maybe. And they have a really good atmosphere. Fort Collins, for fans that are, I think a lot of our fans have decided that's going to be a good road trip to take that. And obviously the Miami looks good, like a nice trip, but we actually make 2 trips to Miami this year, one for the U and one for FIU. But that will not be, like you mentioned, that will not, you can't overlook Colorado State at all, because they've been very good in the WAC over the last several years. And this is a good non-conference matchup, I think, for both schools, both football programs and both conferences in 23. I'd really like to see a whole lot more of that.
Chip Walters, the voice of the Blue Raiders, joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Chip, I know we talked to you maybe a couple of summers ago, and you were driving down to Birmingham to take a train to New Orleans or something like that. You got any train trips planned this summer?
No, but I'll tell you, that was a great trip. I did take the Amtrak from Birmingham to New Orleans for a weekend, and I can tell you it was about as hot then as it is here now. I mean, it's as it's hotter than a hoochie coochie. There's no question about that. And thank you, Alan Jackson, for giving us that.
Yes.
But now, the one trip I have planned is I do have one during the Open Dayton football to go to the Gulf Coast. And I am not saying that there won't be another little spontaneous getaway into that area before football starts.
Sounds good.
It hurts.
Hey, dude, one
Yes?
thing also want to make mention came out today. APR scores came out, and all of middle 17 teams have earned an APR rate of over 945 in the multi-year, and all 17 sports were well above the mark on the 1 year rating. So, and that's above 930. And middles, all 17 sports have been above the 930 mark for 12 years straight. So that's something also
There you go.
really proud of.
Making
Getting it
us look
done on
smart,
and
Mo.
off the field. There we go.
That's
Making us
right.
Look smart, all these MTSU graduates. Come on.
It's
There we go.
a championship trophy in one hand and a graduation ring on the other. So
I like it.
love
I
that.
like it. Chip Walters, the voice of the Blue Raiders, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. When we come back, Top 5 Tuesday.
Oh.
Stay with us.
Oh, wait,
whoa.
hey.
Oh,
Whoa.
yes. Your top five. Yeah. Your
My top
four
event that I've ever attended.
Yes.
The 1982 NCAA National Championship game when North Carolina beat Georgetown. I was sitting right there when they threw it to James Worthy. Unbelievable.
Wow.
And I was a freshman in college, and here's this other freshman dude down here making the game winner, Mr. Michael Jordan.
The initials MJ. Did you take the train to New Orleans for that too?
No, I did not. That was a group of about 4 guys crammed into a car, heading through the night into staying with one of their cousins in Slidell or somewhere.
That's
and
an all-timer, Chip.
that
That's
was
an
that was a good one. Yep.
That's good stuff right there.
Appreciate you, Chip.
See you, boys.
Later.
All righty.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back. Final segment on this Tuesday, Main Street Sports Today. JP, the Hall of Famer Mo Patton, and Andrew, the Earl Moore. And it is time now for Top 5 Tuesday. And I tell you what, it is presented by Mid-South 5 Fitness. Mo, who's been supporting this for a long time, and we are so thankful.
Dallas
for their
Steel.
sponsors. Steel, yeah.
Whatever shape you are in, Dallas can get you in better shape. Trust me. 2 locations, one in Franklin, one in Columbia. Be sure and check them out. Mid-South 5 Fitness. And Top 5 Tuesday brought to you.
All right, he froze up for just a moment. Tell you what, he was Mo. Did you get your 5 listed?
I did.
You ready? All right. Well, why don't you lead us off with number 5 then?
Number 5. Number 5. I'm gonna go with, and this is where I thought Chip was going with his when he mentioned 1982, but he shocked me. Memorial Gym. MTSU 50, Kentucky 44, opening round of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I've heard my dad talk about that one. I know he was in the building, I believe. Yeah, that's a red letter day or a blue letter day for.
There we go.
The blue
letter
Raiders.
day.
The blue letter. Yeah, absolutely. All right, Andrew, what do you got for number 5?
My number 5 is a game that I remember for 2 very specific reasons. We're going back to 2010. The state championship game between Columbia Central and Hendersonville, where Columbia, I believe, won 28-14, first state championship in over half a century at that time, I believe.
You go, and you're
look at you with a.
You're a Central guy, right?
I am. I am. Now I was on the sideline. Let's not pretend I was actually on the field, but I did. I did cheer a lot, and actually almost died that day. So that's another reason why why I remember that game. So
we're glad that worked out for you.
Yeah, you'll have to tell us more about that.
Yeah, it's a story behind the story. I have props for my number 5, fellas. I have props. All right, it's one good thing about working from the home office today. Thursday, November 4th. 2004. Ring any bells? It was the.
Say it again.
Thursday, November 4th, 2004. The inaugural game of the Charlotte Bobcats.
Wow.
There you go.
Okay.
As a member of the staff there, they gave us these commemorative tickets. They played the Washington Wizards that night at the Charlotte Coliseum. So there you go.
He has props.
I have props. I got more on that one too. Here's a little sample of the old floor. So yeah, how about that?
That's solid.
Yeah, there you go. Props. And that's just number 5.
Yeah, makes me wonder what you got for 1 through 4.
No more props. Actually, I do have props for number 1. I do have props for number 1, so keep going. Number 4.
My number 4, 2008 Memorial Gym also. Mississippi State Vanderbilt, Shane Foster, 42 points. Senior night. Did we lose somebody? Andrew, are you still there, JP?
Yeah, I hopped off to get my other prop.
Oh,
for number 1. So sorry.
Well, no, that's okay. You scare me when you go away like that. No, Shane Foster's 42-point performance on senior night was my number 4.
There you go. Anchor down, baby. Anchor down.
Yeah.
Andrew, number 4.
JP, Andrew, yeah.
Yeah, I'm also going to go back to 2008. Philip Fulmer's last home game versus Kentucky. I believe the score was 28-10. Not a lot of passing, but the Vols had over 200 yards on the ground. Arian Foster, I believe, was a big part of that.
Okay. All right.
Sounds about right.
Number 4, I'm going to go to South Bend, Indiana. I don't recall the year, but it was recent, the last 5 years or so. Vanderbilt went and played football over at South Bend. Took a weekend with my dad, flew into Chicago, stayed in Chicago, had a weekend with some other friends from Lawrenceburg who were Notre Dame fans. Were able to tailgate in style, and Vandy put up a good fight. Probably should have won, but that's a bucket list to go to a football game at South Bend. It was fantastic to be on campus. A beautiful warm September day up in South Bend, Indiana. It was fantastic. So, number 4.
Vanderbilt should have won that ball game.
Yes, they should have. Yes, they should
Yeah,
have.
yeah. Okay. All right. Number 3, 1995, Legion Field, UT Alabama. Peyton Manning, Joey Kent, 75 yards, first play from scrimmage. UT snaps a, 10-game losing streak to Alabama, 41-14.
Long overdue.
Yeah.
And
say
the
the least.
floodgates were open.
Yeah.
Let's see. This is where it starts to get a little bit more predictable for me. Going back to 2006, the Colts are in Nashville to play the Titans. Rob Baronis is standing on midfield and kicks a 60-yard game-winning field goal. I was about 11 years old, and unfortunately, I hate to admit, I did have my eyes covered because I was too nervous to watch. But I was there to reap the rewards of that.
If I'm not mistaken, they were all in their baby blues for that win. Is that correct?
They were.
Yeah,
blue
that's what I
tops,
thought.
blue bottoms, absolutely.
Yep. The baby blues. All right. Number 3 for me. Really, I've been to several SEC basketball tournaments growing up, but one in particular was in Lexington, Vanderbilt, the 92-93 season. Vandy won the regular season that year with Eddie Fogler as the coach, Ronnie McMahon, Billy McCaffrey, Steve Lawson, I believe, the big redhead center, and
Chris Lawson.
Chris Lawson, Bruce Elder, and Kevin Anglin, Franklin guy, Kevin Anglin. That was a fun trip up to Lexington for that. Vandy didn't win the tournament, but it was just a great experience. And the SEC tournament in general, especially when Arkansas joined and they started calling the Hogs, it was just it turned up the electricity to a whole nother level. So that's my number 3.
That's your number 3?
Number 3.
All right. My number 2, and this may be on Andrew's list as well. I don't know, but Music City Miracle.
2.
It's not on my list. I was unfortunately not there.
You were a little young for that, I guess, Andrew, right?
I was probably 5 or 6 years old. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. I forget how young you are. Never
Bo,
mind.
were you covering it, or were you there as a
I
fan?
was.
Okay.
And a lot of folks had already gone down to the field from the press box and kind of got caught between. And for some reason, I stayed in the press box, so
Oh,
I
so
actually
you
got to see it.
There
Yeah,
you go.
yeah, exactly.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got
Which
something.
is that's the reason why me and my family never leave a game until it is completely over. And for my number 2 is another reason why we never leave a game until it's completely over. 2019, Kansas City versus the Tennessee Titans. Ryan Tannehill runs the ball down the middle of the field, throws to Anthony Berkshire, and then hits Adam Humphries for a touchdown. And then Josh Kalu comes off the side and has probably the most beautiful field goal block I think I've ever seen in my entire life.
Good stuff.
There you go.
Crazy game.
All right. Number 2, I'm going to go back to 1991, just shy of Christmas, up in Chicago for my sister's 16th birthday. We were going to a Bears game against the creamsicle Tampa Bay Bucks. It snowed, but we got there on a Thursday night. Well, my dad, who's infamous about talking his way into some things, what would you suggest? Well, he asked the concierge, hey, I think the Bulls are in town. Yeah, they are. So we were able to commandeer a pair of tickets in the mezzanine level at Old Chicago Stadium. 1991 now. This is December of 91. Or 90, actually. I think it was 90. Yeah, it was 90 because it was it was 91. The first year the Bulls won the championship. Guess who was in town to play the Bulls that night? The Los Angeles Lakers and Magic Johnson. So the only time that the Lakers were in Chicago that year in the regular season was that night. We got to go see them play. Of course, later that summer or spring, they met in the NBA Finals, and that spectacular move by Michael Jordan, as Marv Albert so eloquently put, and the Bulls were off and running with their first of 6 championships with Michael Jordan. But I saw their regular season matchup in Chicago Stadium back in December of 1991. Number 2.
That's solid. That's your number 2.
That's my number 2.
Okay, that's setting a pretty lofty bar there. My number one, Titans Rams Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oof. And they're covering that
Man.
too, right?
I was.
Yeah.
I think everybody that was on the Tennessean sports staff was there for that one, actually. But yeah,
Were you on the field for that yard short, or were you still?
no,
at
I
the press box?
was. I was again. I was in the auxiliary press box
Auxiliary
for
press.
that one. Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, it's tough to watch.
All right, Andrew.
Yeah, my number one, again, predictable, nonetheless, still a great game. 2009, Arizona Cardinals are in Nashville to play the Tennessee Titans. Vince Young leads a 99-yard drive with 2 minutes left, throws it to Kenny Britt with, I believe, no time remaining, and wins the game and keeps their playoff hopes alive. Of course, we didn't make it that year, but it's not often you get to see a 99-yard drive.
Yep. All right, I'm going to stay in that same stadium for my number one, and I have props again.
Ooh.
It is. Let's see the date on here. I don't. It doesn't have the date because the tickets were bought well in advance. But the Music City Miracle, pair of tickets right there.
There you
Divisional
go.
playoffs. You see that the focus maybe, but Adelphia Coliseum divisional playoffs in January of 2000, and I was in the end zone that Kevin Dyson ran into. So, I mean, the electricity. Of course, I'm one of 50 million people that say that they were there, but I have proof.
There you go.
I was there. That's my number one. So there you go.
I got to give an honorable mention to the 2018 Class A baseball state championship game, Columbia Academy and Loretto, 1-0, 12 innings.
I called that game, Mo, on local radio for down here in Lawrence County. I have a YouTube video of just a graphic, but of the audio call of that game. It was fantastic.
It was. It's the
fantastic.
best high school baseball game I've ever seen. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Well, there's your Top 5 Tuesday brought to you by Mid-South 5 Fitness. Again, Dallas Steel, 2 locations, one in Franklin, one in Columbia. At Steel Athletes, I believe. No E. But again, whatever shape you're in, Dallas Steel will get you in better shape. Check him out. That's going to do it for the Tuesday edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Tomorrow on the show, we have Heather Williams talking NASCAR. We will have as our special guest host Charles Pulliam of the Williamson Herald. Our second guest is yet to be determined, so stay with us. Obviously, it's Wednesday, so that means Wild and Wacky.
Wild and Wacky.
So be sure and come back with us tomorrow and check that out, starting at 2 o'clock. Andrew Moore, thanks for sitting in with us today. We appreciate it.
Well done, Andrew. Always
Mo,
good to see you, buddy.
JP, always appreciate it. Same.
All right. Again, that'll do it here. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Come back with us at 2 tomorrow. See you then.